So you won.
I don't know if I won. I didn't see any numbers yet. It feels good, but I'm not sure until I see some numbers. I'm not gonna say I won until I get some concession calls. We're just gonna bide our time. I mean, my joy is related to the journey. You know, seriously. You know, it was a monumental sprint to get the endorsement in May. Then we had a long summer through the primary, and you know, everybody in the Twin Cities knows that, you know, we took some heat, you know, and then as soon as we won the primary, you know, here comes some more heat, you know, and then, you know, and so here we are, every step of the way. You know, I'm so glad I never went negative on anybody, and no matter what happens tonight, I don't regret that for a second. You know, I'm so glad that, you know, we are, the point of our campaign was to include everyone in our political efforts and to be inclusive, and that we kept a lot of people in the boat who were unlikely boat mates, if you will. You know, we kept labor and the environment groups in the boat. You know, we kept the blacks, the whites, the Latinos in the boat. We kept Christian, Jews, Muslims in the boat. You know, we kept everybody in. You know, and you know, I hope that this campaign stands for the idea that you can run a good, solid, competitive campaign without going negative. That you can have people of very diverse backgrounds, interests in the same coalition. We had people who are native born in the same coalition with people who are immigrants. And with all this immigrants bashing stuff, you could see some of our, you know, poor African American constituents sort of rail against immigrant communities because the right wing is telling them that that's who's taking their jobs. But you know what? They never went for it. Everybody stayed in. Everybody stayed together. Nobody started cannibalizing each other. The coalition stayed tight, you know?
Your dad said it takes a carpenter to build and a jackass can knock anything down.
What he said
are you
is,
a carpenter yet?
He said any jackass can kick down a barn, but it takes a carpenter to build it. That's what he said. And he said it cooler and slicker than I ever could. Had a ring to it when he says it. But I don't know if I'm a carpenter. I just know that I know that through this spring, summer, and fall, you know, we were blessed to hold together the community, the beloved community, the people who, I think if we can hold this coalition together, there's really nothing we can't do, you know? Nothing at all. There's nothing we can't change, you know?
What has the appeal been for you? You've led by a margin this whole time. What is the appeal, do you think?
What is my appeal to the race?
I'll do it.
I want to serve the people. I believe that, you know, we can have you know, I really believe we can have a society where people operate with each other on the basis of cooperation and love, you know, and we can have a peaceful world in which people negotiate differences. I mean, I'm real aware that conflict is a part of human experience. And I mean, I'm a trial lawyer. My whole world revolves around conflict. You know, I grew up in conflict. I understand conflict, but I also know this about conflict, that there are different ways to handle it. And the way that our country has dealt with conflict over the last 6 years is the exact opposite way that you should deal with conflict. You know, negotiation, discussion, dialogue, you know, needs to be how we do business with the rest of the world. You know, I mean, my attraction to this race, my appeal to this race is about is about somebody, not necessarily me standing up and saying, we cannot let our country stand for torture, ever. We cannot allow our civil liberties to be snatched away and chipped at. You know, the government says that, I mean, the president says, you know, that, yeah, he violated the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. What about it? I'm like, what do you mean, what about it? Do we live in a constitutional democracy or not? Do we live in a checks and balances system or not? These are the questions that I want to see answered. That's why I got in the race.
At the very beginning in March, was there a moment when you looked at Sabo's departure and you looked at the playing field and you thought, this is going to happen, I can do this?
Actually, no.
No?
No.
What was it like then?
I was disgusted with the war. I was disgusted with the corrosive effect it was having on our civil and human rights. I was disgusted with economic policies that favor the wealthy. I was disgusted with economic policies that basically abandon the idea of a common good. And so I said, I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to say that. People are going to dig it or they're not. And if they do, I'll move on. And if they don't, I'll go back to the state legislature.
I understand what the tack is you're taking toward the people who've attacked you, but
right.
Honestly, you have no animosity toward Alan Fine or Paul Ostro at this point?
No. Paul Ostro supports the campaign. He's good people with me. I don't have no beefs at all. Alan Fine, I mean, what can you really say? I mean, within the political environment we operate in now, he did what other people might have done, you know? I mean, I don't blame him. And, you know, I mean, look, I mean, we're probably not going to strike up a friendship, but in terms of me walking around in my daily life, grinding my teeth on him, that ain't gonna happen. He doesn't occur to me at all. And I have nothing but positive, you know, feelings towards him. You know, I'm not gonna go out of my way to you know, but I don't have any animosity towards him at all.
But assuming that
the
projections are correct and
right.
You have one, is there any single key, whether it's the get out the vote effort that you conducted,
that was key.
Whether it's the message
right.
that you put across, what was the largest factor in your mind putting this campaign across?
I'd say it was, well, it started with a message. The message was fundamental. Its second thing was that we had to pull together a diverse group of people. We couldn't say to any faction, you're not welcome. So we drew in people. Then we had a grassroots organizing campaign, man. We didn't spend 10 cents on television. Nothing. No television station got any of our money at all. And I'm not against television, you know, but our philosophy all along was to touch people. You have to touch people. You have to lay skin on them. And you have to look them in the eye, and you have to give them a reason to vote. And so that's how we expanded the electorate. That's how we brought people in, you know? We have to give people a reason to get up and break their routine and come vote. That was crucial. Grassroots community organizing, indispensable part of this victory. Tentative victory. All right? So those were key. And then, you know, another thing, you know, is it was crucial that I not hold any animus in my heart toward any of our detractors. Because if I'd have given myself the luxury of having a temper tantrum based on what somebody said about me, the deck of cards would have fell, you know? So I had to just be cool, not take it personally, understand it's part of the political culture that we're in, don't blame them, and just keep on marching toward the goal.